Hey guys, so in this video I'll be taking a look at the LEGO Star Wars UCS Imperial Star Destroyer, set number 75252, comes with 4,784 pieces, 2 minifigures, and is recommended for ages 16 and up, and this set costs $700 in the United States. So in this video I'll be giving you guys a quick overview of the Star Destroyer, and also giving my thoughts on the end on whether or not I think this set is worth the price, and whether or not I think you should buy it. So before we get started, I just want to say, pay no mind to the clutter you will see around the table here. I'm in the midst of building a mock and also had to clear off the table to fit this guy on, so it is a bit of a mess right now, but that's not the focus on the video. We are going to be focusing on the Star Destroyer, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so before we get into the Star Destroyer itself, just give you a quick look at the stand since it's not too exciting. The Star Destroyer is only held up by these 4 pieces right here. I don't really know what they're called, but they look pretty cool, and they do a pretty good job of holding the 30 plus pounds of the Star Destroyer. Then you have your UCS plaque right there, just all the set info, well not set info, but all of the Star Destroyer information on it. And then here is one of the 2 minifigures. This is the Imperial officer. Really the only cool thing about him is the dual molded legs. It's a simple minifig, but looks pretty cool. And moving on to this side, we have the Imperial Technician, who I think is the cooler of the 2 minifigs. He does have arm printing, as you can see there, and it is on both sides. And overall, minifigures in this set are kind of lacking. They do look good, but I feel like for $700 they could have thrown in another minifigure, such as a Darth Vader, since after all, this is his ship, the Devastator. Alright, Star Destroyer time. So I'm just going to start out by saying this thing is massive. It is almost 4 feet long and about 2 feet wide, and I mean, it is just huge. The build was pretty good. There are a lot of big pieces, especially on these side panels, which are a little bit tricky to put together, especially when you're putting big pieces on big pieces. But overall, the build was pretty enjoyable, and I feel like if you're working at a decent pace and you have some experience working with LEGO before, you should be able to get this done in about 10 hours, maybe a little bit more. And as you can see here, as I'm just moving around the Star Destroyer, the detail on this thing is fantastic. There you can see there is a little cannon on the side. And then just more detail all along. There is some very clever parts usage in here. And then there is the end. And then the 2 sides of the Star Destroyer, these things in here, they are identical. And you build them at the same time, and you build them the exact same. The only thing is you flip one, so they are technically identical, just one is flipped. And I feel like it looks very good. I love the detailing on the side here. There you can see there is the other cannon. It's a cool build for a cannon. It's a little annoying to get all of the little pieces to line up, so it looks straight, but I think it is a pretty good design. And just looking at the top here, it's very smooth. I like the mixture of studded pieces and also tiles. And I feel like overall it looks pretty good. The only real bad thing about the top here is the gap. And it's most noticeable here. Now you can see there are some colors shining through, well, not shining through, but showing through there. So especially the blue right there, that is probably the worst of it. But the gap's not huge. It's not too big of a deal. They did try to cover it up, especially here, which I think looks pretty good. And overall, it just looks very nice, pretty much from all angles. Here you can see this is how they connect the 2 bottom panels. The top ones are not connected, so they are loose, and then they can kind of wiggle a little bit. But as long as you don't touch it, it's not really going to matter. And over here, here is the Tantive E4 in micro scale. It's a pretty cool build. Not a huge fan of the way they did the cockpit, since there's a gap right there. But overall, it's a nice build, and not really the main point of the set, so I'm okay with it not being 100% perfect. Alright, so just moving along the Star Destroyer towards the back, you can see here we have some turbo lasers. 3 are identical, and then one's a bit of a different build. I think I like this one a bit better, although this one in the back still looks pretty good. Lots of great greebling around this big center section. Looks great. I'll absolutely love all of the detail on the Star Destroyer. I think it is pretty much perfect in terms of greebling details and just overall appearance, other than the bit of color in the middle. Over here, it's identical in a sense. I mean, some of the greebling is a little bit different, but it's essentially the same thing as the other side. The turbo lasers are identical to the other side, still look great. And then underneath this clip right here, there is a bit of color exposed, but you can't see it too much since it isn't as bright as the blue, so it's not too big of a deal. And then here's just a look at all the great greebling on here. You can see, look, roller skates lined up. A lot of roller skates in this set, kind of surprised me, but again, clever parts usage. And then up on the bridge here, it is a beautiful looking thing. Absolutely love the way this looks. Great greebling. Love the way they got the, I think it's a shield generator on top. And then this thing looks very cool, and you can actually turn it back if you want. I believe they were up in Rogue One and down in the original trilogy, but I could be wrong on that. And apparently it can pop off, just attached with 4 studs, but you're not really going to be playing with it that much. It's not too big of a deal. And then moving around to the back of the bridge here, not too much going on this side, but still looks very good. And then like kind of the neck, very nice greebling there. And then the engines, oh, the engines. This is a huge section of the Star Destroyer. Like, you know, I mean, it's just massive. Like, I believe, like, these are, like, the big, wide, like, barrel pieces, just to give you a sense of how big this actually is. And this engine section looks great. There is some gaps, pretty much everywhere where panels meet. So there you can see actually all the way through it, which is a little bit strange. But you're probably not going to be looking at it from this angle too much. But the Star Destroyer engines are just amazing. Alright, so you may be wondering how you're supposed to move and pick up this over 30-pound set. And there are 2 ways that they show you how to do it in the instructions. And one way is just to kind of cradle it in your arms. So basically what you do, since I have the camera in one hand, I'm not going to. But you put one arm underneath here, and then one arm underneath here, so basically on either side of the stand. And then you can pick it up with it cradled. Or there is a handle built in here. Basically you pop off these 2 things right here, which I'm not going to do with one hand, but I will in a second. And then that exposes a handle underneath. Alright, so I popped off those pieces. You can see them here, just attached with 2 Technic pins each. And then this area with the red tiles, this is actually a handle. I'm not going to pick it up because I would have to do it with my left hand, which is probably not a good idea. And you still want to use a second hand to support it in the back. But that is the handle, and I think I prefer it cradling it. This worked when it wasn't as heavy, when there was less on it. But with everything on, I think it is better to do the cradling method. And then in here, you can just get a look at the Technic structure of it. It is pretty hollow around the wings, actually, but this center section is sturdy and will support all the weight. I realized that I forgot to give you guys a look at the underside of the Star Destroyer. It's going to be a little tricky, but I'll do my best. So here, there's like a little bit of detail. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to be, but it's there. And then here's like the little underbelly hanger with a little micro TIE fighter, and it looks pretty cool. I like the way this turned out. And then if I move over here to around the stand, you can see there is like the life support system, like the little dome thing. And there's some pretty serious gapping around it. It doesn't really attach all that well, but it still looks cool and a pretty necessary inclusion if you're making a Star Destroyer, so I appreciate it being included here. Alright, not going to spend too much time on the box, but I thought I'd show you guys anyway. So very nice box art on the front, like this new UCS style. And then here, this side of the box, this is where you're supposed to open it. See, there's a little check mark. I didn't do that. I'll show you why in a minute, but here's the back of the box, very nice. And then if I spin this around, this is very flappy. Basically, it says don't cut, but you see I saw that and I thought, well, you know what, on the shipping box it says don't cut with razor, so I thought that was just saying like use scissors, don't like slice it with a razor. But no, it's because if you open it from the good side, if you open it up, you will see the instructions first, which I put in upside down apparently when I put it back in. But basically, you get more of an experience if you open it from the good side. I'm not going to take out everything. There's a box for the instructions and 4 boxes for the pieces inside. So basically, moral of the story here, if you get the set, open it from the side where it tells you, don't be me. Alright, so not going to spend too much time on the instructions since they're not too exciting. It's instructions. You can see that they are pretty long. It's spiral bound. First time I've gotten a set that has spiral bound instructions. And the first few pages are an interview with the 2 designers, so that's pretty cool to read. I'm not going to go through that. But it is a pretty nice inclusion, nice to read through that. And then the rest of it is pretty much just instructions since it is an instruction manual. So, should you buy the $700 Imperial Star Destroyer? Short answer, I think that it is a great set, and I feel like any Star Wars fan would be very happy with it. Long answer, it's a bit more complicated since it is an expensive set. It's $700. Like, that's a lot of money. And, is it worth $700? That's kind of the big question here. When this came out, the big thing was, is it overpriced? And having built it, having seen the pieces in the set, there are a ton of big pieces. There are some 16 by 16 plates in the wings, like at least 6 or 7 of them, probably closer to 10. So there are big pieces in this set, which will drive up the price per part thing that people care about. And so I feel like this set could not have realistically been $500. I know that's what a lot of people want it to be, since it's close to 5,000 pieces, but that's just not realistic. But $700 is expensive. I feel like $600 might have been a more fair price. But I can understand $700, but I feel like $600 would have been a better price. So if you're on the fence about this set and you have a spot for it, that's another big thing. Like, before you buy it, or at least before you build it, make sure that you have a spot to put this set. So I feel like with this set, if you're on the fence, wait for a sale. I feel like $600 is definitely a fair price for this. If you can find it for less, go for it, definitely. But I feel like $700, I mean, if you really want it, it's fine price-wise, because there are a lot of big pieces, and there's a lot of things that go into actually making a Lego set, and then Lego actually has to make a profit out of it, because they are a company. So I feel like $700 is okay. $600 definitely would have been better, and that would have been the preferred price, at least in my opinion. So if you're on the fence, definitely wait for a sale. But overall, I definitely recommend this to every Lego Star Wars fan. It is a fantastic set. So that will do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, a like is very much appreciated, and you can also leave a comment down below with your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss when I upload a new one. And that'll do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.